Good morning, Hawk fans, and welcome to another edition of Hear from the Hawks, brought to us as always by Univest, one of the great corporate partners of St. Joseph's University Athletics. I'm Joe Lunardi, and today it's baseball season, at least baseball season in terms of Hear from the Hawks. And look out the window. It's a pretty nice sunny day as we record this, and we appreciate those joining us live, of course, and those who've tuned in after the fact. And with us, the head baseball coach, Frtiz Hamburg, in his 13th season on SJU campus, and his associate head coach, Ryan Wheeler. And Ryan, it seems like you've been here almost that long. I know it's not quite, but you're both baseball lifers. And what fascinates me, I think, the most about talking to longtime baseball guys are all the rituals and traditions and kind of off the field goofiness that goes around your sport. Now, I know we're here to talk about the Hawks program and the incredible season that you guys are having and postseason prospects and the state of the program and everything. But I have to ask, and I'll start with you, Frtiz. What keeps you in the game after all these years? Because as great as it is, of course, being on Hawk Hill, you know, aside from the occasional Liberty Bell Classic, you're away from the bright lights and Citizens Bank Park and the majors. What is it about baseball that keeps guys going day after day after day?
Joe, first off, excited to be here. Thanks for hosting this. I would say, honestly, it's the opportunity to be around the guys. Look, I mean, anybody who's just like Wheels, I mean, we've been in this game our entire life. And now, you know, obviously the playing side of it has been long over. And there's a transition there between playing and then really understanding the coaching journey. But I think the opportunity to work with the guys, not only on the field, but off. I mean, just to have a chance to develop relationships. I can tell you, one of the great things is I think it keeps us young. These guys keep us young. You know, look, we all have a very, very deep passion for the game. You know, we had great experiences as players. The game is very meaningful to us. And I think in a lot of ways, that's what keeps us to transition into coaching once the playing career is over. And as your career, you know, goes on, I think the experiences, the relationships, all of those become deeper and more fulfilling and enriching. And it's just, I thank my lucky stars that every day that this is what I do. It's not, you know, a lot of people say this isn't work. I mean, there are plenty of days that it is work, but at the same time too, it's so rewarding. And to be able to put a uniform on, I don't think any of us ever take that for granted.
Well, Frtiz, it clearly is keeping you young. I'm not sure so much with Wheels, you know, who I've known in different ways for a long, long time.
Right.
It's just busting on you, my friend.
It's quite all right.
Like, maybe I'm just a romantic at heart about baseball, but what is it about baseball that just makes it different and special? And the day-to-day, the camaraderie, the chatter, the what?
Yeah, I mean, you know, Frtiz said it perfectly there with the relationships. I mean, look, we've all been in a difficult situation this past year. And I think, you know, personally, having time to step back from the day-to-day grind that we normally go through just gave me a chance to have perspective. And, you know, last spring and summer, you know, I missed the games, but I didn't miss the games because I've been involved in enough baseball games over the years, but I missed being around the players and having the opportunity to work with them. And I think, you know, this may sound like a cliche, but my experience in the game has been fantastic. And so to have the opportunity to help other young men have those same experiences is why I coach. And so, being able to go out and enjoy that on a day-to-day basis is great. And then, a day like today where the weather's nice,
Mhm.
it's great to be outside, not in some office cubicle, doing that type of job. Of course, when it's 37 degrees and the wind's blowing and the rain's coming down sideways, those aren't the fun days to be out there. But it's just the day-to-day grind of being out there with the players. That's what really keeps you coming back every day.
Wish you've been a head coach. You've been in a number of conferences. You've seen how different programs operate. Now working with Frtiz, who's the winningest all-time baseball coach that we've had at St. Joe's. What makes him and this program different and unique and positive for so many of us?
Well, I think first of all, he's very passionate about the game. He mentioned that, when he spoke. So his passion for the game comes through every day. I mean, I think both of us, we don't feel like we come to work. We enjoy being around each other. I think our personalities are similar in some ways, but yet different in others, which allows us to sort of play off each other and help the players in different ways. It's my job to really, follow his lead, so to speak. And I think he does a great job of being organized and very much thinking ahead. It's not just, what's in front of us today, but we also have to think the next week, the next month, and even the next year down the road. So, he's very well organized and thinking in those terms, and it's my job to just sort of take the lead. But, I think then when it comes to the players, he does a great job and cares very much for the players and their well-being, their experience here. And so once again, our thinking is in line with that. And so, we want this to be the ultimate experience for all of the guys that have, take the opportunity to come here and play for us.
And Frtiz, you think of college baseball at the highest level, you think of the South and you think of the West and you think of the warm weather and you think of, guys in the major leagues. But college baseball in the Northeast has a pretty great tradition of success, even with those 36-degree days that Wheels talks about. How do you differentiate your program, St. Joe's Baseball, in a positive way to attract some of the great players that are now on the roster?
Well, obviously, when we were fortunate to have Smithson Field built, and what's interesting is I think a lot of prospective student athletes up to that point, they go visit schools and they see ballparks on campuses, and then there's a lot of times that people didn't even get to see St. Joe's. They didn't get to see what the program necessarily was all about, other than if you went to see a game. And obviously now, when people come to visit St. Joe's, they have the opportunity now to see a terrific ballpark in a great setting. And the number of people who have commented on what a beautiful campus we have, what a great facility we have. And I think to answer your question, that's a really important component. Guys are looking for the resources to develop. And, again, to not have to get in a van every day. And as we did, and guys on this call, I'm sure listening, to drive to Norristown or to Narberth or wherever it might be, to have to do that every day is not always appealing. And so the fact that now guys can roll over, they can come hit in the cages anytime they want, they can be on the field. I mean, yesterday was an off day for us, and I don't know how many guys were out on the field, working on their own. And, when I first got here, it was, we practiced in the multi-purpose gym. And if we were lucky to get some time on Sweeney, we were able to do that. But we practiced more times. I know for the early years when I was here, we practiced inside, and you just don't get the feedback that you need to develop into the type of players that, we've been fortunate to have now since we've been able to play on campus. So that's a huge attraction. And also too, I think putting that all together, our roster is relatively, regional within a 2.5 hours. I think it's important for families and players that, hey, their parents can see them play. So, when they go down south, that isn't always the case. You can watch on streaming now and so on and so forth, but it isn't the same. So, since Smithson and we've been able to get on campus, I think that's made a huge, huge difference, in just maybe keeping guys from going down south.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most dramatic additions to campus in all my years of being affiliated with St. Joe's. And I used to like to say that trivia question, name the only Division I college baseball team that, didn't play a home game for 110 years or, whatever the number was, it was outrageous, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And
I will say is that those older guys, though, the experiences that they had bouncing from field to field, those are probably some of the fondest and greatest memories that they have. And that's what being on on a team does for you. And I know those guys, I mean, they think it's great that we have what we have now, but they don't downplay what they had and the memories they have.
Yeah. And if you talk to John Smithson or Al Pastino or the Mullins or and Joe D'Angelo, guys from on and off the field, Harry Booth for all those years. Sometimes I wonder if maybe they hit their head on the roof of the van a few times going to the field. But
Sure.
But the stories are great. Ryan, you're out recruiting. I mean, how big of a deal is it? I mean, moms and dads, they want to see their kids, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's kind of where it's at.
Yes, it's huge. And I secretly, I was at another school that was in the conference, and maybe that was used against St. Joe's when they didn't have a field on campus as recruiting tactic. But no, the fact that we have such a beautiful facility and getting people here to see it, they're blown away with the beauty of it. And and then if they can get the chance to come here and see their sons play, 20 to 25, maybe 30 home games a year, that's even more important. So it's very, very important in the process.
All right. Well, let's talk Turkey. 11-8, 6-2 in the conference. Swept UMass at home. I can say blasted. You guys would. Big come from behind split up in Olean this weekend, which has been a house of horrors for us over the years. I know. It's not the end of the earth, but you can see it from there. And even I assume that GW series was just a non-league series early on.
Correct.
Right. But that kind of shows you where you're at because you swept them as well. Fritz, this is as good a position as the Hawks have been in league play in quite some time. So what's making the difference and how do you keep it going?
Well, I would say certainly, this group has been through some challenges, and I think they understand that they're tired of the challenges, and meaning they want to win. And so I think that their overall commitment and their focus and their desire to work to win and come together is certainly a strong point, and it's pointing us in the right direction. And it's interesting because of COVID and guys getting an extra year. When you look around our lineup, we have a lot of guys that have experience. And the great thing, I was even thinking about this weekend, I'm looking around the field this weekend and everybody on the field is coming back. So, positionally. So I think from that standpoint, they recognize and they want to win. They that is the one thing that has eluded us in my time here is this championship. And, again, it's, you take it a day at a time, but, it's there and we want to bring a championship to Hawk Hill. And so how do we keep it going? We take it a day at a time and we keep working on the little things that I think we've been improving on. and continue to compete. And that, as they say, the hawk never dies. I mean, we got to keep grinding and play gritty and relentless and resilient and all of those things to make sure that we continue each and every day to get closer to our goal.
Who brings out the lineup card, you or Wheels?
No, I do.
I just read a great
Wheels is
story.
busy. Wheels has got responsibilities. He's working.
I got it.
Stuff and that kind of stuff.
No, I just read a great article about like the rituals of bringing out the lineup card and stories about big league managers getting thrown out of the game, bringing out the lineup card.
Mhm.
So, you're both passionate about the game. I just wondered if that's ever happened to either of you, if either of you have gotten tossed and had to get bailed out by the other guy.
I can say I have never been tossed at the plate exchanging the lineup cards. I don't know about you, Wheels, but I highly doubt it.
No, not during, not lineup card.
How about generally tossed?
I've been excused from the game a few times. It's not. I will tell you, Joe, is that sometimes there is a need for that you can do it in a way that is going to fire the team up if that's a spark is needed. I think as I've been here longer, early on, I remember getting thrown at Xavier. An interesting toss it was. It was a weekend where I felt like the umpire that tossed me just was not on his game all weekend, and it seemed like too many calls went the other way. And I got tossed, and so I left the ballpark, and I go to the bus because you had to be out of sight and sound, and the bus driver was nowhere to be found. And I had no idea what I was going to do. So I actually ended up walking up across the street, up a huge hill. I had to be 600 feet from the ballpark and sat up on a wall and watched the rest of the game. And fortunately, I didn't get suspended for being in sight. I certainly wasn't in sound, but those get to be a little unenjoyable. And obviously, you have a lot of time to reflect on the moment, so to speak.
I thought you were going to say you drove the bus to Skyline Chili on your own and then came back. All right. Well, we want to bring in one of your standouts from this season, and we'll get the real scoop now on the 2021 Hawks as we welcome Jake Artz to the program. Jake is a graduate student now on Hawk Hill. He's one of your great table setters, on base guy, demon on the base paths, scores a lot of runs, cleaned up his room just for the occasion, and comes to Hawk Hill from central Pennsylvania, the Harrisburg area, I think Central Dauphin, if I'm not mistaken, one of the Dolphins. And Jake, first of all, welcome to the program. And how did you come to be a baseball Hawk? How did you find us, or did we find you?
That is a long story, so I will give the shortened version. So,
Good idea.
Yeah. So coming out of high school, I had a few different injuries. I couldn't play baseball for a year, so I actually went to a prep school. And at that prep school, that's where Coach Wheeler and Coach Hamburg found me I believe it was probably in Florida that they first saw me, but there's a couple different tournaments over that summer that they saw me, and they offered me a chance to come play for St. Joe's coming into 2016. And I wasn't exactly sure on what I was doing. I was looking at the Naval Academy at the time, and I really wanted to go that path with my life, but I ended up not being able to get the opportunity to go there. And I called Coach Wheeler up one day and said, "Hey, Coach Wheeler, I know I'm a little bit late, but I would really love to come to St. Joe's and play for you." And he's like, I'm pretty sure he answered the phone and said, I really didn't think you were going to come here. And I was like, no. Do you still have the spot? And he's like, yeah, of course. And I was like, okay, awesome. It was a sigh of relief after that. And then wound up coming to St. Joe's and re-injured myself my first year and had to leave the team. And after the fall, was unsure if I'd be able to play again, and ended up having some procedures done and found my way back to Hawk Hill and got in the lineup a little bit, struggled early on, and then came back the next year and worked with Coach Wheeler a lot on hitting and had to build my swing from the ground up, got in the lineup, and haven't left since. So
Yeah,
it's been quite the journey. Yeah, it's been quite the journey.
Yeah. Did you ever think you'd be an Iron Man after all your struggles?
Absolutely not. I honestly didn't even know if I'd step on the field after all my struggles, or let alone be good or competitive. So it was awesome.
And what about your overall experience as a student athlete at the university, both on and off the field? What are some of the things you're going to remember the most?
Well, remember the most is definitely the team aspect and how much emphasis that Skip and Wheels put on the camaraderie and making sure that we're a family. We break it down on family almost every single practice, every single lift in the morning. So that's a huge part. Guys really pulling for each other. I know early on in my career, there was some like tension between upperclassmen and like the lower classmen, but ever since I would say my junior year, guys have really had an emphasis on taking the younger kids under their wings. Especially, I'll give a good example. Yesterday, I was in the cages hitting with my roommate, Andrew Cassetti, one of the premier players on the team. And we were hitting with some of the younger kids in the cages, and they were asking us questions about, hey, like I'm feeling this, or I need some help with this area, or what am I doing wrong here? And we were taking videos, and we were literally down in the cages for 4.5 hours hitting, just kind of helping them with their swing and feeding them like front toss and everything like that, and just talking about baseball. And I feel like I didn't really have that in any of like my high school or travel ball or anything like that until I got to St. Joe's. So it's really just guys pulling for each other and wanting each other to succeed. And I think that that's one of our key pieces this year as to why we're so successful.
Yeah. What do you think is making the difference?
I would say that what made the difference for us this year is it was a little bit tough in the beginning of the fall. The freshmen got here. I'm pretty sure they were put right into quarantine like the first or second week. It was crazy. So I honestly didn't speak one word to any of the freshmen until like October. And I was like, hey guys, I'm Jake. And I was like, all right, well, I guess these are the younger kids now. So we were really separated in the fall, but as soon as we got back from like Christmas break and everything, we dove into practice and we had more team chemistry in the aspect that we were almost like competing when we were split up between two dugouts, because the kids that were on campus had to be on like the first base dugout. The older kids had to be off campus in the third base dugout. So we were always competing with each other. And I think that kind of brought us a little bit closer together, because there was almost a mutual respect that, hey, these kids are younger, but they got some talent and these kids can play. So once we started kind of talking more and getting together, like on the field, and had that ability to almost like bounce back conversation or them asking questions and getting a little bit more comfortable with us, we began to work really well together. And then even a lot of the freshmen, some of the younger arms, and even the position players have made their way into the lineup and really helped us contribute this year. So I think that that's a really big piece.
So best of 7, the first base dugout versus the third base dugout, who wins?
The first, Wheels can tell you right now, the first, I would say 2 weeks before the season started, the older guys, we were like 0 and like 10. It was terrible. We were getting destroyed. And there was even one point that Will said, hey, you guys keep playing like this, that dugout over there, they're going to be the starting lineup. And we looked at each other and we were like, yo guys, we need to pull this together. And we came out against Cows in the first game, 6 home runs or something like that. Just guys started like clicking, and we was like, all right, okay, we're not bad at baseball. We were really worried we were bad at baseball for a second there, but we'll be good now. So yeah.
And that's pretty high level nuanced coaching right there, don't you think?
Wheels was playing chess.
You guys might be over there with the scrubs if you don't start to hit.
We were playing checkers,
So much
and
for
Wheels was
launch
out here
angle.
playing chess. Yeah, absolutely. He was on a whole nother mind level than us. We were like, guys, come on, we got to get this together now, or else we're gonna be sitting on the bench.
Jake, what is like? Take us through for the, I know we have baseball alums and parents tuned in, but just general sports fans, like what is like the cycle of a week for a college baseball player? Like obviously you gear up for your big series on the weekend, which is the league series. That's how you line up your pitchers and your hitters. And then you try and work in the other guys, if you have non-league or just scrimmages during the week. Like, what is that life cycle like in the spring for a college baseball player?
It's actually funny you asked me this question because I was literally just talking to somebody about it this morning. Like, how do we even get homework done sometimes? Because, all right, normally we'll come back from a weekend series. Let's say it was away one weekend and we get back off the bus on Sunday, like 11. Skip's like, guys, got to make it to class tomorrow morning no matter what. So guys are like, all right, Monday's our off day. So guys roll into their 8 a.m.s, exhausted, tired. So Monday mornings, guys probably don't want to hit, but this year it's been a little different. Like Skip was saying, I think there was 25 guys on the field yesterday getting their throwing and they're hitting in. So there's no off days. Even if we have an off day, guys are getting their work in. So I'd say Monday mornings, guys are just getting swings, trying to get homework done. A lot of guys have classes and stuff, night classes. So that's a big school day for guys. Then we wake up Tuesday morning, we had lift. So we had lift this morning at 6:45. Guys are still tired from the weekend, but you got to get the work in because that's our weight room slot. So guys get the work in, they go to class. Then we have practice at 2:30 on Tuesdays. So we'll practice for about 3 hours. Guys will get their homework done. If they got class, they got to do that. Wake up Wednesday morning, got to go to class again, go to practice at 2:30. Guys got night classes sometimes, got to get the homework done. And then if we're traveling on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series, we'll probably leave like around noon to 2 o'clock on Thursday and hop on the bus and leave, get to the hotel late. And then guys are waking up Friday and getting their homework done if they got classes and stuff. Now everything's on Zoom, so it's a little easier. Guys can get their classes in when we're on the road. But then we're playing Friday, we're playing Saturday, we're playing Sunday, and come back home and do the same thing. We sometimes have midweeks. We'll play Tuesdays or Wednesdays sometimes, so we'll throw that in. So, I mean, this year we haven't had a lot of midweeks just because of cancellations and teams getting like COVID and everything like that. But it's a struggle to try to find time to get your homework done and have a good balance of making sure you're eating enough food, you're properly staying hydrated. Guys are tired all the time, so you got to take care of your body. We're only lifting once, maybe twice a week, so guys got to stay in shape before they start losing weight and getting weak and stuff like that. So I honestly don't know how I did it for the 3 years that I was doing undergrad. I don't remember doing homework. I'm sure I did. I might have just been completely like blurred out just in the library at night, just completely just typing away on papers. And then I wake up the next morning and I'm in the weight room already. I'm like, how did this happen? I don't remember any of this. So yeah, it's definitely a little bit of a struggle.
Sounds pretty glamorous to me, Jake.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure you're 1,001% focused on the remainder of this season and making the most of it that you can for yourself and the team and the program and the staff, etc. But peeking ahead a month or 6 or 12, what are your aspirations on the field and off?
On the field and off, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, Skip says focus on the next day, and I think that's the best mentality to have. But I think all of us, with the way that we started and the talent we have on our team, is in the back of our minds, we're itching it. We got to bring home the first A10 trophy to St. Joe's this year, and that's a non-question. With the way the conferences are shaking out, with our schedule, like everything's lining up that if we do what we're supposed to do and guys get the job done and put the work in, then we got to bring home a championship this year. So on the field, that's my aspirations. I got another year to come back after this. So I'm trying to put off real life for as long as possible. I'm working Yes, I'm working right now and I have a job that I'm doing in the mornings and stuff like that. And it's good and all. I feel like a productive human being doing things that aren't just like hitting baseballs and lifting weights and stuff like that. But like real life just it's not my cup of tea right now. I got to focus on getting my swings in the cages, working on getting stronger and stuff like that. So I guess summer ball right now is what I would be looking in the future for to get better for next season to hopefully bring back another A10 trophy because we're going to have all the guys coming back. That's all I'm thinking about right now.
Totally overrated, the real life stuff. I think anybody over, I don't know, 25 or 30 would tell you that because we all want to be you.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, we're going to talk a little real life with a baseball alum in this next segment. Jake, thank you. Stick around. We may have more for you. But going back, about 6 or 7 years, a great Hawk standout. Got a tradition of great catchers over the years at on Hawk Hill. I'm not sure if that's in spite of or because of their coaching. Sure, it's because of, but Brian O'Keefe joins us now. Brian is the class of 2014, came to Hawk Hill from the Albany, New York area, South Colony High School, and is now on the cusp of the major leagues. He's in the 60-man player pool for the Seattle Mariners. I guess that's called the taxi squad. You're not maybe on the 40-man roster, but you're there. And all it takes is one bad week of tests and you're going to be behind the plate. Brian, so tell us a little bit about how you got from 54th and City Line Avenue to wearing a Seattle uniform in the Pacific Northwest.
Morning, Joe. Good to see you. Thanks for having me on.
You bet.
My journey was from after I left St. Joe's. I actually got drafted by St. Louis, and I was in their organization for 5 or 6 years, maybe 7. It's been a long time. But then essentially what happened was I went into a pool of players where you can get redrafted. It's for guys that are maybe hidden in different organizations based on, there's other guys in front of you, or, you just, you're doing what you can do, but the opportunity just may not be there. So other teams after a certain period of time can come in and essentially redraft you to their organization. And that's how I ended up over here in Seattle. And then I get over here in Seattle last year, and not even a month into spring training, we have the COVID shutdown. So that was very, very different, and we're still dealing with it in a way, but it seems like things are starting to go back to normal. And so I'm out here in Seattle and hoping, I take care of my end of things, and that opportunity presents itself to play in the big leagues at some point this year.
What did, I mean, not to be like, how did minor league guys make a living last summer?
I think everybody was a little in a different boat. I think, they did do where they were paying guys at least a per diem per week. I think it was, or I believe it was every week they were paying guys at like $400. But, some guys probably tapped into their signing bonus. Some guys were delivering food via DoorDash. Some guys were, moved back in with mom and dad. Some guys that, luckily the guys that were at the alt site last year were getting paid. Which was nice, but I think everybody was in a little bit of a different boat, and guys did whatever they could to survive. Honestly, I think that was the mentality a lot of people took, was just to survive.
400 a week sounds like breakfast for Jake. I don't, know about how it is, Brian, at your level, but just because you're right there, like, we want to know what it's like to be in and around the big leagues, like spring training and the highest of high level talent and coaching and facilities and instruction, and just kind of waiting for that call, right? Like 6-7 years is a long time to be in professional baseball. And did you think about bailing more than once? And
no, I've never been one to, honestly, Joe, I since I was 3, this is all I wanted to do. And, I've gotten lucky. I think that there's times where, one of the things St. Joe's helped me learn, and it played a big role when I got to pro ball, is there's a lot of different situations that are out of your control when you get here. And, I was in a great organization with St. Louis before I got over to Seattle. And I mean, if you think about the position I play, there's a guy that's just passed the 2,000 game milestone. 2,000
games. Right.
And not only 2,000 games, but 2,000 games with one club. He's the only guy ever to do that, which, it's awesome to learn from him. It's awesome to be able to soak in his knowledge and that kind of thing. But at the same time, selfishly, you don't get moved the way you normally probably would in a different organization. And I think that one of the things, it is easy, or I shouldn't say it's easy. It's hard to do your business. And then at the end of the day, it's just like, hey, just keep doing it. Hey, just keep doing it. That's tough. And some guy, there was points where question things, but I think that was normal. I mean, you're away from the ones that you love, the ones that you care about for 8 months out of the year. You're on your own. You're not really making any type of money at all in the minor leagues. And, it's easy to let that doubt and creep in and start to say, do I want to do this? Is there something else I want to do? And it comes back every time is I love what I do. Yes, it's a grind. Yes, you got to pay your dues before you get there. And now being on being right on the cusp of making it to the big leagues, things don't change. If anything, it's probably gets magnified even more. You start to realize I've been guilty over this over the last few weeks is you start thinking about that call. You start thinking about the what if scenarios. You start thinking about a lot of different things and playing things out. And I think it always comes back to remembering where your feet are. Where are you being in the moment, being present, and when you do that, I think you're able to enjoy the game more. You're able to enjoy the process compared to worrying about results that may not come, that may never happen. That's just part of it.
I mean, Fritz, Wheels, you guys are, immersed in the day-to-day with your current team, right? And also trying to keep an eye on potential future student athletes who might end up on Hawk Hill. How much time and how close touch can you be with guys like Brian, who obviously are carrying the flag for your program? Whenever Brian gets that call, like that's going to be a day for you all to celebrate. But how do you manage to keep up, Fritz, with all these guys, especially now that Brian is not, there's a pretty big handful of Hawks that have been at various levels of professional baseball just in your tenure.
I mean, I will say is that, it's important to me, and I think Brian would confirm this. I mean, Brian and I probably have, well, not probably, we have a much stronger relationship now than we did when he was a player. Even though as a catcher and I was working with him on a daily basis, we've had many conversations about his journey and what he's doing. And, it's important whether it's Brian or whether it's Jimmy or Dion or Timmy Brennan, staying in touch with those guys is really important because that's just part of the family that we are. And so I would say just because of those guys, Wheels has been here, what now? This is year 6 or 7?
7.
7. But I trying to stay in touch and keep in touch and is important to me, and it's important that those guys know that we're always here. This is home for them, outside of what they're doing. Like Brian said, it's they're away from home now, and it's very much professional baseball up into the big leagues is very individualized. It's about your own journey, and you're trying to do things and win a championship with the team, but the team changes, the dynamics change so much. So, there's a lot of different things to think about and navigate through in pro ball as opposed to different challenges that guys have when they're here on Hawk Hill.
So, Brian, reading between the lines, what you're saying is Fritz is a great guy and friend now, but when he was your manager, he was a pain in the rear. Am I reading that correctly?
No, me and Fritz had a very unique relationship. I think I got lucky. I think the position we both played put us at a different level. And I think the way we think and the way we see things is very similar. And that's a good thing most of the time, but it's also a recipe for us to butt heads sometimes because both of us always thought we were right. But that was it. I wouldn't have had it any other way. I mean, even though me and him had our difference of opinions on things, I mean, there was countless times I would text him, "What time you going in tomorrow?" And he texts me, "I'll be there at 6 a.m. Okay, I'll be there at 5:45. And we sit there and just talk for 2 hours. And that's what's that was the building blocks for our relationship now. And you have to take all the good and all the bad because when you start to put it together and you start to see this huge picture start to develop over the years, that's where our relationship really blossomed, was when we were on different pages and we had to talk it through. We had to have those tough conversations and we always did. And that was, I think we developed a deeper respect for one another. I think we developed deeper relationships with one another. And it really, think about it, I've been out of there for closing in. I walked in on campus. My first time on campus was 2010, the fall of 2010, yeah, which is crazy. And now it's, or excuse me, 11. So, we're on 10 years now, and me and Skip still talk weekly. That's a long time. And, that's a testament to our relationship now.
And I guess by extension, you're kind of keeping track of the current teams.
Yeah,
whatever pit stop you're at.
Yeah, I don't follow as closely as I used to. I used to check the box scores and everything, and now, I'll still check what they do every single weekend in conference. I'll check what, when they played UConn, I saw that they beat UConn. That's a big win for our program, and and just the fact that I'll check. There's times I'll talk to Wheels, because a lot of people don't know this, but when Wheels was at Richmond, Wheels recruited me. And so it actually came down to Richmond or St. Joe's. And so I've known Wheels forever. So, we'll talk hitting, I'll talk to Frtiz about, how the team's doing. We'll talk about different things, no matter what it is. And so, yeah, I still got a pulse on the program, and I'm still following. And I feel like we were part of the building blocks that has allowed, future teams like this one to have the success that they're having.
Great stuff. Want you and Jake to stick around. A couple more things for the coaches, particularly, again, as we look out the window, it's a nice day, huge home series coming up this weekend against Fordham, 4 games at Smithson Field against, one of the teams that's been a kind of a perennial in the league. Frtiz, like, if you just like baseball, if you're just me, right? And you want to come at, like, what are the conditions? What are the restrictions, if any, if I just want to come watch the Hawks?
Well, I have nothing but the very best to say how St. Joe's has handled this situation. We've been to multiple places this spring, and whether there's no fans or whether only the home fans can come, St. Joe's has allowed everybody to come, wear a mask, physically distance, do those things. And honestly, sometimes I think in the past I've kind of gotten lost because I've been in the dugout. This year I'm out coaching third, so I see a little bit more as opposed to just the field. But the crowds that we've had here have been fantastic. People are coming out, they're sitting in the outfield, they're up on the berm, they're down the lines. So, it's going to be a nice weekend, and we can use all the support and Hawk love that we can get, because this is like every series, but obviously Fordham won the A-10 championship in 2019. They've really done a good job, and it's going to be a really good series that I think both teams are looking forward to.
Now, any truth to the rumor that you might have a relative singing the national anthem? Did I hear something about that?
There's absolutely no truth to that, Joe. So for those of you that don't know, our youngest daughter is at Fordham. I've changed the locks.
And is quite talented. Know her from Upper Darby Summer Stage and has sung at Hagan Arena many, many, many times. We're very sad to see her leave town. She sung the anthem several times, but I couldn't, she said, well, what if I wear a Fordham hat and a St. Joe's sweatshirt? And I said, there's absolutely zero shot of that. It was better off that she stays in the Bronx this weekend. Because you'd have to send, you would never do, you'd send Wheels out to escort her off the field, probably.
Maybe public safety, I don't know.
Yeah, okay. Or the current guys. Well, if you've never been to a game at Smithson Field, just hanging out at the I was going to say the crack of the bat, the ping of the bat, and just being outside, like we couldn't do this last year, and it's just a great way to spend. And there's almost something. The extra cool games were the Friday afternoon games, I think, because number one, it was a great excuse to get out of the office and call it work. Not that I ever had a problem with that, but It's just a great thing to do. Jake, as a current player, you look, you know who's watching, right? Like, you know, if you have family there, you know, if your housemates or your dorm mates are hanging out, right? Like it's a thing, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I play right field. So right up above right field, like beside opaque, there's people up there.
Yes.
I'm getting heckled and chirped by my friends and stuff. My relatives are walking past me, whistling at me. So I'll wave to people and stuff like that. But it's a great environment to play. We had some good environment and a little bit of music playing earlier this year, and that was pretty nice for the first time in a while. But had to shut that down. But other than that, it's nice. It's a great environment. It's windy sometimes and cold, but
Yes.
other than that, it's nice when the sun's out.
Jake, we have something in common. I also played a lot of right field because I was the 9th best player on a 9-person team. I suspect that is not your situation, at least certainly not from what I've seen or from your stats. But Jake, we're going to put you on the spot. We start to wrap up the program. We ask everybody this question, and that is, here it is over our shoulder. The Hawk will never die. You've been around long enough. What does that mean to you?
I would have to say that is more of a mentality that I like to adopt, and I like the team to adopt. We've had a few rough skids, 4 or 5 game losing streaks. I think what that speaks to is our ability to kind of flush things and say, okay, we got to get back in the weight room. We got to get back in the field, and we got to put some work in because we got to get better and bounce back. And I like on the field thinking of it almost as like a resiliency when we're down 5 runs in the 6th inning and Skip brings us together and lights a fire under us. That's like, hey boys, time to go. We got to come back. We got to have this victory. And it happened 2 times very nicely against GW earlier this year that we were down pretty big and Skip came, brought us in and said, hey, this isn't our brand. I know that's something that he uses a lot this year. Like, this isn't our brand. So our brand being the Hawk will never die, have some resiliency, have some battle. The fight is never over. I kind of like adopting that.
Great stuff. Brian, when you walk into the clubhouse and say the Hawk will never die, they look at you like you have 3 heads?
Some people know. Some people definitely know what it is. Some people have no idea what it means. But yeah, it's I would.
Well, how many games did Jamie win in Seattle? A lot.
Yeah, and yeah, he's well known out here. Very well known.
Well, how about you? The Hawk will never die. You're so well spoken.
For me, I think it screams Philly. It embodies Philly. I think if you think about it, it's Philly toughness. It's that blue collar. It's the characteristics of the city. Like, we can get punched in the mouth and we're just going to keep going forward. We can get knocked down. We're going to get back up and keep moving forward. And I think that, if you look at, whenever you see the Hawk will never die, most times it's associated with the basketball program, and that guy never stops flapping his wings. It's one of those things that no matter what, he just keeps going. And I think that, once you're a Hawk, I think especially after you leave school, I think you really start to get an appreciation for it. Of like, you're going to get hit in the mouth sometimes in life, and people, as a Hawk, you just keep continuing to move forward, keep pressing forward, and that's really what it just screams that to me.
No doubt. Ryan, tell the truth. Did you, at your prior stops, did you think it was corny?
Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit, but no.
What about now?
Yeah, no. Now that I've had the opportunity to be here for 7 years, I think what it means to me is the relationships and the experiences that, for those of us that have had to spend time on Hawk Hill, just how special of a place it is. It's like this little hidden gem, in the greater Philadelphia area. And, it's even taken on a little bit more of a personal nature to me now that my son is a student here. And seeing him go through, the experiences, albeit it's been a little different this year for him as a freshman, but, knowing what lies ahead, I'm excited for him because I know how wonderful a place it is and the people that I've met here, and the relationships that I've built. So, the Hawk will never die. It's that bond that we all share and carry forward after our days are done here. It's something we have forever.
Fritz, that leaves the last word to you.
Well, it's kind of twofold for me. I think the Hawk will never die. I mean, look, St. Joe's is all about living greater and community service and giving. And so for me, we have those opportunities to give and leave something with, whether it's an individual, whether it's a group, whether it's a community. So from that standpoint, the Hawk to me will always live. And we have that opportunity to make that, to leave that impression on people. So I think it's a great reminder of how we go about things. I mean, and I'll give a quick example is we got home from St. Bonaventure Sunday night, and I had an email from the hotel manager that we stayed at in Olean, and she had sent the bill down, but then she made a very strong point of just wanting to thank me for how our guys conducted themselves and how respectful they were, and that they were thrilled to have the opportunity to host us, and that we hope that when we come back, we stay there. And also too is that they wish that we could be the opportunity, be the example for other teams that come in there. So I think that's really important, and we left a great impression on that manager, who may not, I don't know whether she knows St. Joe's or not, but now she does. And finally, I mean, I would absolutely reiterate what Brian and Jake said. I mean, when it comes to on the field, it's about, the Hawk will never die. I mean, it's playing to the very last out, the very last pitch. And I think this last year was really an opportunity for guys to really understand that nothing is given. We had it taken away last year, and for as unfortunate as it was, I think for the group this year, for everybody playing in intercollegiate athletics or doing whatever, just to be able to be back doing what we've been doing and what we love to do. I'm sure Brian's the same way. He was fortunate enough to keep going last year, but for all those guys that weren't, it's an opportunity to kind of reflect and really hone in and understand that, hey, you know what a privilege it is to be able to go out and compete as a team with your teammates. So, it's really easy. It's a constant reminder. The Hawk will never die. We're going to grind here. We're going to grind together, and it's just a great reminder every day.
Well, I would argue that if and when you bring that Atlantic 10 trophy and NCAA berth back to Hawk Hill, it will be one of the greatest athletic achievements in the history of the school that we all love and represent so fervently. So I want to thank Jake Artz for being with us, taking time in between job and hitting and hydrating and all the things that he's doing. And we hope that when we talk to him next, he's reaching out with his hand on a trophy. And Brian, thanks to you. When we talk to you next, we hope it's after seeing you on Sunday Night Baseball. And Wheels, Fritz, you're great friends and have stewarded the program so well. And hopefully we'll see you from over the fence this weekend. Once again, the Hawks and Fordham at Smithson Field as SJU keeps this great 2021 season going, 6-2 in the league, and poised for a phenomenal spring and maybe even early summer. So we appreciate that. We appreciate the folks on Hawk Hill, Rob Sullivan, Christina Henderson, Gary Greco, who put us on the air today. And most of all, thank you for tuning in and hearing all about the Hawk baseball program on Here from the Hawks, brought to us as always by Univest. I'm Joe Lunardi, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks a lot. The Hawk will never die.